Welcome to this presentation on creating a regenerative agriculture biome at the Eden Project. Regenerative agricultural practices provide multiple ecosystem services, such as biological pest control and improved soil health. These services need to be conserved and promoted as we head into a future of increased climate fluctuation. To come up with this project plan, we created SMART objectives and then evaluated these. The site in question is 1.4 hectares and lies to the west of the current Eden biomes. The whole site is currently mapped on the priority habitat inventory as being traditional orchard. However, half of the site is currently allotments. We can see from Google Earth that the orchard trees were established between 2005 and 2009 and the allotment from 2022 to 2023. The site is in the Hen Sparrow National Character Area, which relates to 3 statements of environmental opportunity. These are protecting cultural resources, restoring semi-natural habitats, and planning for future restoration. All 3 of these opportunities relates to Eden's ethos. We assessed the site condition by doing a walkover and found that in the orchard it was even-aged trees closely planted together across permanent grassland. There was little deadwood in situ left for invertebrates, and the fruit was left on the ground to rot. For the allotment side, there were compost heaps evident, areas of scrub fenced off, but a lot of the plots were just growing seasonal fruit and veg or flowers. As the site is mapped on the priority habitat inventory as traditional orchard, we would like the orchard to have more of a mosaic habitat with varying age trees, perhaps a species-rich grassland between the trees and deadwood left in situ. This will promote ecological function and the ecosystem services that are related to traditional orchards. For the allotment, we would like to keep it as an allotment, but have it showcasing regenerative agriculture crops and techniques. These would focus on the objectives of soil health, biodiversity, water quality, and food production. It could also show adaptation to climate change and have a real community engagement and education element.
A quick word about engagement because it's essential for setting good project objectives, and I'm referring here to both what we do to shape the project during planning and also the ongoing outreach and educational programme which is part of the project. So considering the why, I've synthesised here the main benefits on engagement which are widely recognised. So better decision making means better project outcomes. It ensures longer term sustainability through local support. It means communities pull down more benefits. And finally, it's legally important and contributes to our international goals. And considering who, there are 3 main groups of stakeholders that are within scope. So visitors, and we're moving very much in the sphere here of informing, educating and inspiring, so very much as per Eden's current visitor engagement. The local community, and this is in the sphere of engaging, involving and collaborating in a shaped and shared community space. And finally, land managers, we'd like to propose a new venture for Eden with the Farm Start project, so thereby educating, inspiring and reforming agricultural practices. Thinking about how, this is a synthesis of best practice from multiple sources, so engagement should start early and be ongoing and embrace feedback. You should understand local context and the scope and purpose of your engagement and adapt your methods accordingly. You must understand your stakeholders and their power dynamics and seek to build trust. You should integrate local knowledge with scientific expertise. You should co-define and co-deliver community benefits with your ambitions rooted in the community. You should embed social impacts in your monitoring programme. And finally, you should develop your organisational capacity to embed a culture of engagement. And in informing our ideas about how to engage and what sort of engagement to offer, these are the case studies and best practice that have fed into our reference model for engagement, if you will. And finally, we'd like to suggest that the project follow the Nattergal key steps to guide engagement and also ensure that the learning from engagement feed into the objectives so that it's embedded in the heart of the project.
The allotments are located on the west side of Eden project and currently they are managed on a low level, mainly for community engagement. SMART objectives have been set up to enhance the allotment and to create the best example of traditional agricultural practices. The SMART objectives for the allotment focus on building a productive, community-led space that promotes regenerative agriculture. It aims to engage residents in sustainable food production through crop diversity, soil health improvement, and low-cost methods like composting, minimal tillage, and native planting. The goals support local food security, environmental sustainability, and community learning with defined milestones for planning and planting. The proposal is to create an engaged community space that demonstrates regenerative agriculture through resident involvement and will build skills in sustainable practices, offering workshops and volunteer opportunities to promote learning, strengthen community ties, and enhance local biodiversity and soil health. The plan promotes sustainable land management through a diversified regenerative food system. It will increase crop diversity, introduce small livestock like bees and dung beetles, and prioritize compost use. Progress will be tracked through soil health and biodiversity monitoring. Inspired from Allerton projects, the allotment will combine food production, biodiversity, and community learning through practices like cover cropping and seasonal workshops. With accessible training and measurable targets, it aims to achieve and sustain regenerative outcomes, such as healthier soil and greater local knowledge. Following Allerton project, the plan aims to create a community-led regenerative growing space within 3 years. Year 1 focuses on preparation and engagement, Year 2 on implementing sustainable practices, and Year 3 on measuring soil yield and biodiversity outcomes, ensuring adaptive, evidence-based progress toward a resilient community food system.
Turning now to defining success criteria for traditional orchard restoration, the proposed objective seeks to restore the ecological functioning of the specific area mapped as traditional orchards while retaining the allotments. As traditional orchards constitute a mosaic habitat, a variety of measurable management practices are required to restore each of its features. A case study approach was chosen to capture the complexity of ecological functioning and to ensure that each recommended management practice was achievable. Sources of advice include the Orchard Network, the Woodland Trust, Resilient Orchards Cornwall, and guidance published by Natural England. Revenue payments are being rolled out in DEFRA's environmental land management schemes. The decision to restore the traditional orchard was based on its relevance to the Eden Project's mission, inclusion on the priority habitat inventory, and the local landscape character area. To allow time to develop a favourable age structure, a 25-year timescale would enable the oldest apple trees to begin developing veteran features, which typically occurs at 50 years of age. A strength of using an empirical model drawn from reference sites is that it helps to clarify the key ecosystem attributes. For this project, we drew from Colston Farm Orchards for its tree age structure, RHS Wisley for its grass sward height diversity, and Slough Orchard for its lichen and beetle communities. One weakness is focusing restoration solely on the target habitat. Satellite imagery indicates the fruit trees were lost then replanted. Habitat continuity of heartwood decay, wildflowers and scrub are important for different life cycle stages of saproxylic invertebrates. While recovery from remnant hedgerows is possible, landscape scale restoration would help ensure connectivity is adequate for recolonisation. Besides being recognised as priority habitat, further opportunities could be a tree preservation order, ecological surveys of protected species, and apple tree identification, which may find local heritage varieties or nationally rare genetics. The most common threats are lack of sustained replacement tree planting, land use change, or intensification. These threats justify the need for community engagement. This presentation began by proposing an ambitious vision for the creation of a regenerative agriculture biome. It went on to establish the importance of inclusive stakeholder engagement for identifying community benefits and shaping objectives. The proposed plan for successful implementation of ecological restoration was then defined using the SMART format. Each SMART objective was then critically evaluated and justified with reference to the scientific literature and supported by a series of reference sites. Thank you for listening.